The Kansas City Chiefs are playing against the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round of the playoffs. This was a matchup all the way back in the AFL championship right before the first Super Bowl, because I'm pretty sure, even though we had the merger before the first Super Bowl, we were still talking AFL and NFL. And learning that, honestly, was only, I don't know, it wasn't like, I knew the Bills were very good around the times of the first Super Bowl, but I didn't realize that they were one game away from making it to the first Super Bowl until probably like 5 years ago. And when I learned that, I was really shocked, considering that I've been a football fan for like 13 years. So that's one interesting point in terms of talking about the history of this game. Obviously, you had games like Joe Montana playing against the Bills in like the 90s and stuff too. And then as recently as last year in the AFC Championship, these two teams met up in the AFC Championship game last year. Excuse me for mispronouncing all my words. But, there's some history here. What does that matter for Sunday night? Not at all, because the only thing that matters is you win the game and you move on. Anyways, with that being said, I talked about two of the games first. You got San Fran at Green Bay first, so we'll even it out. You can talk about this game first.
All right. Well, I'm just going to talk about this game in who's there and who isn't going to be there first, because the first time these teams played earlier in the season, Tre'Davious White was on the field for the Bills. He's not going to be there anymore. So Tyreek Hill is going to be covered by Levi Wallace, which is, kind of scary.
Hang on.
Not
hang on. I'm gonna put a crazy idea out there, okay? And honestly, it may be so.
You say Isaiah McKenzie.
No, that would be really fun, but no, no. Actually, what I was gonna say is that really, in terms of Chiefs receiving core, that is not including Travis Kelce backside of the backfield, those type of thing. I know that Teron stays in the slot normally. If we want to play much man-to-man coverage at all, I don't know if I was the defensive coordinator. I may be willing to let Teron move even outside and not just stick in the slot, just because I trust him as a cover guy a little bit more than the other two, to be completely honest. And I know I really didn't let you get deep into this before I stopped you. I just want to throw that idea out there to you and let you think about that for a second. You can either respond to that or go through your other points first, but yeah.
No, I do think that would be a good idea. I just don't think the Bills would do it. They're kind of set in stone with Teron being the nickel guy. But you got Levi Wallace now filling in for Trey White as the number one corner. He's going to be on Tyreek Hill. But I did like how the Bills executed their game plan with the corners, especially against Tyreek Hill, where it was, if you think he's going to run past you, hold him. That's like the best plan ever, and it's like seeing that like actually get executed, because that's something that like I would say is a joke, but it actually works because they're like, well, we can't do that, because like they could just do it, but they went away from it because it wasn't getting called every time. But Trey White isn't going to be there, which is the biggest hit for the Bills. But fortunately, and this is another thing too, where you could move Teron out to outside corner, because now he won't be the guy designated with covering Travis Kelce. You have Matt Milano in this game, who was missing the first game against them. So Matt Milano can be the guy designated to Travis Kelce, which is a big benefit. And for the Bills, basically, just recapping guys that are going to be there now but are playing better. Ed Oliver is playing way better on the D-line for the Bills. And then the offensive line for the Bills is playing better. Ryan, a.k.a. Rick Bates, playing out of his mind at left guard, which is nice to see. Some consistency there. Now for the Chiefs, the biggest guy that's going to be there that wasn't there the first game, that I thought, like, when the Bills beat him the first time, was like, oh, yeah, Chris Jones wasn't there, though. If Chris Jones was there, I don't know if we win this game, and now Chris Jones is going to be there, which is scary. But fortunately, like I said, Ryan Bates has been playing better. The interior of that line has gotten better. Mitch Morse, I mean, consistently underrated. At least when you talk about the O-line, I hate that like people that talk about the Bills O-line say, yeah, it sucks. It's like, yeah, but Mitch Morse is good. Mitch Morse is like consistently like not messing up, which is good. And Darrell Williams now moved inside for Spencer Brown to be on the outside. awesome, 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 awesome. But no one wants to hear about that because I still haven't named Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. That's who everyone cares about. And these
Jake, we're
guys
only
are gonna,
5 minutes in. We have, don't worry, I'm sure we still have all the casuals' attention.
yeah, no, we don't. uh, but Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, they're two guys that are going to will their team to victory. Uh, I mean, they have the weapons, and they each just put up fantastic games. But the Chiefs turned the ball over a little bit there. So, and the Bills didn't.
The Bills don't start slow either.
Yeah, the Bills don't start slow either. That's the thing too. The Chiefs, in almost every single game they play in, start slow and then just realize at halftime, eating their orange slices, like, oh crap, we're losing, and then just kick it into high gear or kick it into high gear before half. The Bills don't though. The Bills come out of the gates firing, and then can tail off in some games. But for the most part, at least towards the tail end of the season here, they've been keeping their foot on the gas and seeing it through, which I think gives them the edge, at least first quarter, against the Chiefs. If the Chiefs can go 3-and-out, and the Bills can get some extra drives off of that, or get some early turnovers and score off of them, they could build up a lead that is not insurmountable, because I wouldn't say anything with this Chiefs team is insurmountable in the first half, but give yourself some nice cushion there so when they do come out firing in the second half, you can still keep them at bay.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's the key to all this. I mean, it's building it really if the Chiefs come out and they score opening drive or even their first two drives, that I'm going to be very nervous really quickly. And this may be one of the games, like, in terms of last year we went up 9-0 in the AFC Championship game. Touchdown, field goal, didn't get the extra point, right? That was not, I knew that was not going to be, like, enough. I was still very nervous at that point. I was like, we need to get a much bigger lead to have, like, any, to have a chance, really to have a chance in the game. Because by the end of the game, we really didn't have a chance. We tried to give ourselves a chance late in the game, and we still couldn't even when they were giving us some stuff, we couldn't figure out how to get back into it. And this year, and this game specifically, maybe the games in terms of most out of any game in history where I've been like, if one team scores the first 2 touchdowns of this game, even though it's Kansas City, and even though it's Buffalo's offense, I don't think either of these teams are going to be able to slow the other team down enough to come back from a 2-touchdown deficit. Which, oftentimes, in terms of games, talking about a 2-touchdown deficit would be like, oh, well, I mean, that doesn't happen too often anyways unless teams are completely outmatched. But when you talk in terms of these offenses, just according to last week, are more likely to score touchdowns than anything else. So, one team gets ball first, goes down, scores a touchdown, kicks off, and the other team goes 3-and-out. They're probably going to score a touchdown the next drive, too, which is very scary. I'd almost say that in this game, if I win the toss, I want to receive just because of that concept more than anything else, because I don't think I would ever say that, but this game feels so different than any other games in terms of being able to get out to a lead early. I don't think a 10-point lead is safe, though. I think it needs to be 2 touchdowns for you to be like, okay, we're in a good position. If this game is ever 10 digits or below, in favor of either team, it's not over, which is also a crazy thing to say, even if there's like 30 seconds left. One team has the ball down 10. You don't know. But with that all being said, we don't talk about betting a ton. In terms of, like, the over-under, I don't care what the over-under is set at for the point total. Over. But I do think, coming back to that point that almost, like, I started with, that the Bills, the Bills have been better recently in terms of actually scoring early in games where the Chiefs have taken a little bit. I think that could be a big, big, big key in this game. It could flip the other way, but with how the season's been going for these two teams, the Chiefs have a little tendency to be a little slow, and the Bills weren't in a groove enough last year to continue scoring after jumping out to that 9-0 lead. Maybe they can jump out to a bigger lead this year, even if it's just 10 points. But I did say it's not over if it's a 10-point game, but that lead early would be big. And I think they actually have the ability this year to maintain a lead like that, unlike last year. I think the team that goes up first in this game, I would give like a 90% chance to win, honestly. Even just the first points. Like, I feel like it's bigger in this game than anything else. Also, just because you mentioned it, you shouldn't mention it because then you're just going to get me to complain about it again. If you're going to talk about holding on the defensive side of the ball and how the Bills should hold Tyreek Hill, okay, that's fine. But also, just because we're talking about holding, if holding's an automatic first down on the defense, it needs to be a loss and down on offense. Your response to everything else I said besides the holding thing.
No, I agree with the holding thing. Let's talk about this for another 15 minutes. But yeah, it's going to be whatever team sets the tone first is going to be the team that I think ultimately comes out and wins it, which is a crappy thing because I feel like within the first 8 minutes of the game, you could kind of get a feel of who's going to win it.
Yeah.
And that sucks. But there's one thing I will say. The Chiefs punt. The Bills refuse to. The Bills refuse to punt, or at least as of late have refused to punt. And I don't want to put it fully on Matt Hawk, but Matt Hawk hasn't been a great punter. So I think that might play a lot into the decision of the Bills, because like if you go 3 and out and you're at the like 38 or something like that, go for it. Like Matt Hawk's gonna punt that, and you're gonna give him the ball at like the 50 or maybe your own 48. Like,
you're telling me that the chances are that Matt Hawk punts the ball 12 yards if we walk him onto the field. I don't think that I know in the one game out of the last 4 that he has punted in. Because he's punted in 1 of the last 4 games, right? I don't think that just because he punted poorly in that game, that disregards the rest of the season where he not necessarily was punting great, but was punting on an average that was greater than 12 yards.
One thing I will say that the Bills can do, though, to fix this punting problem is they do have they have Jamie Gillian on the practice squad.
Yes, they do.
They could use a practice squad elevation to bring him up, have Matt Hawk still be the holder for Tyler Bass, and then have Jamie Gillian punt.
Wouldn't that be something? That'd be wild. That'd be
funny to have a punter battle in the divisional round of the playoffs.
That would be wild. I hope we don't even punt enough for there to be a battle. Meaning that I hope we don't punt twice.
Once.
I don't want to say that we're not going to punt once, but let me be honest here.
Let's make a habit out of it.
I'd be pretty surprised if either team's punter punts 3 times. I'd be shocked. I know our defense has played extremely well, but the Chiefs' offense has gotten going. Even if it takes a while to kickstart, it's gotten going. I'd be surprised if either team's punter punts 3 times.
So, another question I have that all the casual fans are really going to love. Does Jerry Hughes get a touchdown that gets called back in this game?
Why are you bringing this up? No.
Because it feels like it's going to be one of these games where Jerry Hughes is going to get a touchdown and call it back.
You know what's awful? Every time that Jerry Hughes looks like he has a touchdown, it's the most agonizing defeat, too. It's like, oh my god, you've got to be kidding me. We lost that game. So I'm going to say no just because I don't want that to happen.
All right.
Plus, I mean, it can't happen considering the way I'm picking the game, so would you like to pick the game?
Yeah, I'll pick the game first. I got the Buffalo Bills winning in an upset here.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you just because of the thing like I said early, um, which is that I think they're the team that is more likely to start fast. And like I said, I think the team that starts fast wins this game.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, that's who I'm going with. But not like last week. This is not at all like last week. I told you like it, I feel like unless I'm like all up in my feelings about the Bills, I feel like the Bills are probably one of the most accurate teams for me in terms of picking games for them. Um, but this one absolutely is not like last week in terms of me going into that game. Like, yeah, we're gonna beat New England. I can't say that this week, even though I'm picking our team to win.
Yeah.
I will say, out of any team, out of any team remaining in the playoffs, I think this would be the hardest competition for the Bills to match up against specifically. I
All
do
right.
think that's the case. So take that as you will. Also, one other thing I didn't hit on here. I I really want Kansas City to lose this week, not only because I'm not rooting I'm not rooting against Kansas City. Like it's not like Green Bay where I'm like, ugh, like I'm actually mad at the team because they're doing something wrong. The only reason I want Kansas City to lose this week, not for the Bills' sake, but because look at the three teams in the AFC that we have. Cincinnati, Tennessee, Buffalo. While we've been watching football, none of those three teams have made it to the Super Bowl. That's why I want one of those teams instead of Kansas City. Okay? That's all I'm saying. And because on the NFC side, we've got Los Angeles, Tampa, San Francisco, and Green Bay. We've seen all those teams play in the Super Bowl while we've been alive. We have not seen Buffalo, Cincinnati, or Tennessee play in the Super Bowl in our lives, which makes it a lot more interesting. If people are different ages than us, I'm sorry if you're older, because that means that you could have
That means
potentially
they've seen
seen,
every team play, every
um,
one of these teams play in the Super Bowl. Then.
yeah, but that's why for us I think it makes a big difference. So I don't know if you have the same idea in your head, but that's kind of another reason that I'm heavily rooting for Buffalo. Just to add on top of my normal fandom of just being a Bills fan, I want new teams in the Super Bowl. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you all set?
Yeah. I think we can cut this here.